Hi, Joe Tramontano here again about a little more music theory in terms of triplets on the drums. And this time I'm going to take a page from this book, Steve Gadd, Up Close again. Only this is a little different. Now, it's basically a triplet, but it's broken up between the toms, the bass drum, and something that's pretty steady. Pretty repetitive, but it's something that can help you in a sense that you develop dexterity with your left and your right hand. It'll help you to strengthen your hands, and it'll also give you something new that you can actually add as a fill that you can do a whole lot with very little effort. It takes time to practice it, but it's really very interesting when you hear it. I actually scanned a copy of the page so that you can get a glimpse of that, and then afterwards I'll apply it.
These are basically triplets, and they're broken up between the bass drum and the two toms, the floor tom and the mounted tom. You start at a slow pace, take your time, and develop it, and when you feel more comfortable, you could speed up. You can even alternate between your left and your right hand. You could do it the way it's read on the bar line, but then you could switch it up. So, for instance, it says on the page, left, right, left for your hands, but you can easily convert it to right, left, right. And that's a good way to develop dexterity, and you can get an ambidextrous feel and also coordination.
Okay, now aside from the book, there was another drummer who put out a videotape many years back by the name of Mike Portnoy, which I'm sure a lot of musicians probably know about. And he actually demonstrated on that tape how he did the feel for the song Take the Time. And when he did, it wasn't just a basic type of like boom, da, like that. What he decided to do was at certain points of the song, he actually takes the triplets, and this cat just embellished it in a way that I never even saw before from any other drummer. I was totally amazed. He played it like a jungle beat and broke it up on the toms. Now, with him, he's one of those guys that basically has a drum kit that looks like a freaking battle station. There's a lot of pieces. I mean, I played on a drum kit similar to that myself, and it took me a very long time to start learning to use everything. But long story short, when I actually saw him do this, it blew my mind because it was something very simple. In his words, taking something very simple and just making it pretty amazing. I think that's what he said. And he really did. And it's basically something broken up with the toms, and then it's something that he actually did on the hi-hat between a whole bunch of octobans, two-tone cowbells, and it had a real mechanized sound to it. I was really blown away by it. It really floored me. And then finally, I actually did something myself based on it. Now, it inspired me, and I don't really have any pages to scan that can really detail it, but if you see me do it, trust me, it'll probably, because I'm doing it and it's on a simple kit, you'll probably be able to figure it out easy. When he did it, it took me a couple of months to figure it out, but then I actually applied it to a couple of things I was doing with somebody I remember who was tracking one time, and he did a blues tune, and I actually did it intermittently, and it had a nice feel to it. But otherwise, here's the demonstration. All right, now one of the things that I talked about in one of my earlier videos was the song Late in the Evening. And that actually is an Afro-Cuban Mozambique pattern, and it's actually in this book. And it's actually shown in 2 different ways, and he plays it numerous different kinds of ways. And that was a beat that I also learned to really help me to develop an ambidextrous feel. And it's really busy, there's a lot of activity, and it's something that takes a little time to learn. But here's the first image from the book itself.
Now, if you look at this line, the X's represent a closed hi-hat. The right hand is actually going to be hitting that, while the left can hit the head of the drum. That's the line below. Remember, baby steps. Go nice and slow, piece it together, and eventually gain momentum and tempo. Another thing you may want to try to do is alternate it. Switch hands. Let the left hand play the hi-hat and the right hand play the head, and vice versa.
Okay, now there's another image that I scanned to show you from this book, and it actually is broken up a little bit differently around the kit.
Okay, now to approach this, take your time, piece it together. It's pretty much the same thing as the previous page. The only difference is that there's more to it. On the very, very top line, the cube formation on the note is a cowbell. Below that is the mounted tom. Then below that is the floor tom. And then below that is the bass drum. And then finally is a closed hi-hat. Now, when you play it, just take your time, do it slowly, but then you can speed up the pace if you feel comfortably enough, and you'll see eventually you'll get it. I mean, if I could do it, trust me, you could do it.
Okay, now based on that, I can't tell you how thankful I am that this book comes with a CD. Because aside from hearing it and reading it, I need to do a little bit of both to learn something. I can't just read it and play it. I really got to say that seeing it on paper and hearing it done correctly, which I hope I did, basically really helps. It really kind of is it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, but it's also something that is really important. It's essential. And, you know, in playing by ear, it's a great thing. You know, like I said before, playing the records I used to do when I was a kid, you know, and it was a really cool way, you know, to play a lot of stuff like Kiss or even the Beatles or any of the old records that we had, and just, you know, flip them on and just, you know, do my thing. But it's different when you start learning how to apply theory, too. And when you combine the two, which is what I did, it really kind of impacted my playing, and then finally playing in bands and applying it. But I hope that you found this insightful. I hope that you got something out of it, and I shall return with a little bit more theory in my next video. Be well.